There's a couple of reasons my anvil doesn't ring. First of all, it's a wrought iron anvil, and the body, the horn, uh, everything is wrought iron except for a very thin steel plate that's on the top, and there isn't even much of that left. When I found this anvil, it looked like it had been used for artillery practice. There were huge chunks out of it. There were cutting torch marks, grinder marks. It was terrible. So basically that anvil is a huge chunk of wrought iron with a thin layer of 6013 rod laid across the top of it. So there isn't any carbon steel in that anvil at all. So carbon steel is what rings. If you take a crowbar and hit it with a bar, you're going to get a really rich, high bell-like tone. A piece of wrought iron just kind of thuds, it clanks a little bit, but it really doesn't do much. So it's just not in their physical makeup. They're not a bell-like material like carbon steel. The second reason is the shape of the anvil. It has a very thick waist, and there really isn't anything much overhanging the waist area. So if you're hammering in the center, there really isn't anywhere for the vibrations to start. Unlike the London pattern anvil, the whole anvil is basically the tailpiece and the horn, so it's sitting over a very narrow waist. So you hit anywhere on that anvil, and they're generally steel anvils as well, then it'll just start to ring, and they're just basically big tuning forks, and those are really hard to quiet. The third reason my anvil doesn't ring is because I have it really clamped down. The base that I have now has the two end pieces, but the bolts that are holding it down, they really put a lot of pressure downward on that anvil, so there really isn't any way for any vibrations to start or to persist, to keep going. If I did have problems, my original plan was to put two rubber strips underneath the top plates of my anvil stand as it sits now, and then I would clamp down that, so that would allow for a little bit of vibration, but it would dampen it right away. So if I had an anvil that did ring, that should take care of most of it. Again, if it's, but the biggest reason that it doesn't ring is just the shape. It's not a shape that vibrates very much, so it can't ring. So